In the years after World War II, the US dollar became a global reserve currency. At the Bretton Woods Conference in 1944, leaders from 44 countries decided to create a new international monetary system based on the US dollar. Other currencies were tied to the dollar, which was backed by gold. The US, which had the world's largest gold reserves and a booming economy after World War II, was seen as a stable anchor for the global financial system. When the Bretton Woods system fell apart in 1971, President Richard Nixon stopped the dollar from being convertible to gold. The US dollar remained the world's primary reserve currency. This was mainly because of the size and strength of the US economy, the depth and liquidity of its financial markets, and the wide use of the dollar in global trade, especially in the oil markets, where the US had agreed to price oil only in dollars. After the events of September 11, 2001, the United States started a global war with major military actions in Afghanistan, Iraq, and other places. There were many political, social, and economic effects of these moves, such as a big rise in government spending and the national debt. There were growing worries about the stability of the US dollar and its role as the world's reserve currency because of the fiscal growth and monetary policies meant to boost the economy. The US also increased its use of economic sanctions as a key tool of its foreign policy, taking advantage of its control over the international financial system. This power, especially over dollar-based platforms like SWIFT, a global messaging service for finance, showed that the US was the leader in global finance but also made other countries worried about their own future. Depending on a currency controlled by a foreign power, the US's military actions in the Middle East, especially in Iraq and Afghanistan, and its support for Western military actions and policies in the global South have made many countries in the region more angry. These actions were often justified under the guise of promoting democracy and fighting terrorism, but they have often led to destabilization, the loss of civilian lives, and long-term chaos in the region. For example, the Iraq War, which was started on the false assumption that Iraq had weapons of mass destruction, left a legacy of political instability and sectarian violence. NATO's military actions in Libya also left the country in a state of prolonged instability. These actions have made people more disappointed. Since the US is a responsible world leader, this discontent is made worse by the way it uses the US dollar for geopolitical purposes. The US has punished countries it sees as enemies, like Iran, with sanctions and financial pressure by using its power over the dollar-dominated global financial system. People have often been hurt by these actions, which have been seen as a form of economic coercion in Venezuela and, more lately, Russia. Also, emerging markets, especially the BRICS countries, saw their economies grow very quickly in the early 2000s. Brazil, Russia and India, China and South Africa began to question the economic system that the West controlled and wanted more power. As part of their plan, international financial institutions pushed for the use of their own currencies in trade and reserves around the world. The 2007 to 2008 financial crisis further exposed vulnerabilities in the US-centric global financial system, leading to a reassessment of the risks associated with holding US assets and the dollar. In response, some global leaders and economists began advocating for a new reserve currency system that would be less reliant on the US dollar and more stable. As a result, many countries are now actively seeking to reduce their dependence on the US dollar, particularly in the face of economic sanctions and political pressure from the United States. Nations like Russia and China, which have faced sanctions, are at the forefront of these efforts, promoting alternative currencies for international trade to enhance their financial independence by reducing reliance on the dollar. Countries aim to diversify their international reserves and reduce the risks associated with fluctuations in a single foreign currency. This move is also driven by the rising economic power of countries like China and India, which are keen to assert their influence by promoting their currencies as alternatives to the dollar in global trade. Russian President Vladimir Putin has called for the creation of a strong insurance platform and a reserve currency pool for BRICS. He has stressed that these should not just be words but also useful tools. They were meeting with the heads of big BRICS media during the meeting at Novo Ovo on October 18. Putin stressed how important it was to gradually make these financial systems stronger. Putin also said that more money needs to be put into the BRICS' new growth bank NDB, which is currently run by Dilma Rousseff. We set up the bank under her direction, but there is still a lot of work to be done. One of the main goals is to deal with the issue of capital and work towards growing it, he said. As part of the BRICS group, Russia is working for a new international payment system that doesn't use the traditional global financial architecture. This is done to protect Russia's economy from the effects of sanctions and make it less reliant on the dollar-based system. The method that was suggested in a report by the Russian Finance Ministry Bank of Russia and the consulting company Yarkov and Partners includes building a network of multiple currencies that lets people use their own currencies to buy and sell things by connecting central banks. The aim is to protect participants from outside forces, mainly US-imposed unilateral sanctions, and to set up trade hubs for important commodities like oil, natural gas, and gold. During his speech at the BRICS Business Forum, Russian President Vladimir Putin emphasized the need for the BRICS countries to create a unified digital infrastructure. He also said that plans are being made to open a BRICS competence center within the United Nations Industrial Development Organization, UNIDO. To support this initiative, we are working hard in the digital sector, working together on e-commerce using internet and artificial intelligence technologies and managing big data. Putin said that the BRICS Competence Center at UNIDO would help the countries work together more on digitalizing their industries. He also said that the BRICS needs to build a single digital infrastructure in the near future. Putin also said it was important for businesses, the public, and government agencies to work together on strategies for using biometrics and keeping information safe. He ended by saying, "Let's take a quick break. Could you do us a favor? If you like what we post, please click the like button to help us get more views and leave your thoughts and feedback in the comments. Your participation helps us grow, so thank you." After its war actions in Ukraine in 2022, Russia faced sanctions that included freezing foreign assets and cutting off key Russian banks from SWIFT. In response, Russia took a number of important steps. Because of this, Russia has been trying to depend less on the US dollar by 2022. The dollar was used for 58% of global payments outside the Eurozone and 54% of foreign trade invoices, according to a report from the Brookings Institution. At the upcoming BRICS summit in Kazan, which is set to take place from October 22 to 20